When I was a kid, I did a lot of reading about World War II, and I read a lot about the European theater. I also read quite a bit about the Pacific theater, and I was especially interested in the U.S. Navy submarine force. It struck me as an amazingly courageous thing to do, to get into a tin can and go a couple hundred feet under the water, running diesel engines and trying to find Japanese shipping to blow it up with torpedoes so that the Japanese Empire would collapse. And when the U.S. Navy was trying to find sub-captains, sub-drivers they called them, when the U.S. Navy was trying to find guys who would come through the very rigorous training, extremely rigorous training. Just think about what it'd be like to be on one of these little boats, they're not big, trapped underwater while the Japanese are dropping depth charges on you, trying to crush your hull, you know. So the rigorous training. But there was one quality that the Navy was looking for in sub-drivers, and it was an aggressive attitude towards taking the fight to the enemy. They wanted guys who would not just kind of hang back and say, well, now we need to preserve our fuel. We don't want to run too much fuel, and we don't want to waste our torpedoes. You know, we want to be careful now. If somebody started talking like that, they were not fit for command. If you found a guy who said, I want to go find Japanese shipping and I want to blow it up. I want to take the fight to the enemy. I want to engage. If they found someone like that, they said, you're the kind of guy we're looking for. What you see this crowd, and you're thinking, man, how am I going to get home in this traffic? That was like a joke. Yeah, you get it? Yeah, Lori doesn't get it. Or you're thinking, I get a little claustrophobic around crowds. You know, this is inconvenient. Peter is looking and he's saying, people standing around me, having just witnessed a miracle, boing, the light bulb goes on. I could talk to them about Jesus. So look at what he does. Men of Israel, verse 12, why are you amazed at this? Or why do you gaze at us as if by your own power or piety we had made him walk? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our fathers, has glorified his servant Jesus, the one whom you delivered and disowned in the presence of Pilate when he had decided to release him. But you disowned the Holy and Righteous One and asked for a murderer to be granted to you, but put to death the Prince of Life, the one whom God raised from the dead, a fact to which we are witnesses. Aggressively prowling for opportunities to witness. Not just coasting, not just, I got to get to the grocery store and I need milk and eggs and butter and then I got to get going. But when you meet somebody, when you see somebody, when you make eye contact with somebody, and it looks like it could be more than just you nod. That's what we mostly do, right? We see somebody and we've never met them before. Maybe we've met them, maybe we know their first name or last name, and we kind of nod, and then off we go. But if you have a sense that there could be more than just a nod, if you have a sense, the way they looked at me, I think they're sad. I think they're burdened. I think that whatever. Actively, aggressively prowling for opportunities to share Christ. And once again, the life-changing power of Christ in verses 15 and 16. And then one more thing I want to point out for tonight, and it's this. In chapter 4, Peter is still talking about Jesus Christ and about how to respond to him by faith. And in chapter 4, verse 1, as they were speaking to the people, the priest and the captain of the temple guard and the Sadducees came up to them, being greatly disturbed because they were teaching the people and proclaiming in Jesus the resurrection from the dead. Don't forget that the priests are associated with the Sadducees. The high priestly class are Sadducees. The Sadducees reject a physical resurrection. So they are very disturbed that Peter and John are talking about resurrection, Jesus Christ and resurrection, and they get very mad. And so there's going to be opposition. And, this is real. This happens. You should not collapse. If you run into an opportunity to witness and you're sharing the gospel and somebody just really slams the door on you, here's what you should do. You should just take a minute to collect your thoughts, breathe deep for a second, and then you can say, thank you, Lord, that I had the chance to tell that person about Jesus Christ, and thank you that I have the honor, the privilege of suffering just a little teeny tiny bit of rejection for Jesus. This is real. Warren had it a couple weeks ago. You know that he's witnessing up at the Merriman House. He's meeting with Priscilla, and he had a gentleman that came up to him and was quite belligerent, and he didn't want to talk about Jesus. Well, it's right here. That does happen. But we can still identify when we have an opportunity to talk about spiritual things, be Christocentric, talk about Jesus. Remember that the gospel is life-changing. The resurrection, the power of the resurrection, it's real. It changed your life. You are going to heaven because of it. And that should cause us to have an energy, an enthusiasm, an excitement about it. And then be aggressively prowling. Do not just go through life focused on, here's my list. Here's what I got to get done today. So don't get in my way because I don't have time. Get out of my way because I got to get my list done. Sometimes life is like that, but I wonder how many opportunities I have missed because I had my list. Well, be aggressively prowling, looking for opportunities to tell people about Christ. You can't save them, only God can save. But you might be the instrument in the Lord's hand to show somebody that they need Christ. Questions or comments? Yes, ma'am.
And then the little girl asked her a couple more questions, and then she asked her, do you believe in Christ? And whatever. And the little girl ended up saying yes, but I don't know, whatever. But the mom defensive, like, she's telling my daughter that the gospel is not true, basically those sort of thoughts come in, and you don't know.
Right.
She's only 5. She's only been a believer for a little while, and how much of that is sticking with her, and she, no qualms about it. She just,
Amen.
The entire plan of salvation. So, like,
what a blessing.
Okay.
Yeah. Amen. What an
Sorry,
encouragement.
she was disruptive, but.
Yeah. Amen. Praise the Lord.
So.
That's great. Other testimonies or prayer requests tonight? Let me give you a heads up. I was scheduled to have Bible study. You know, I'm having Bible study with Chris